It's so good to see you all in person and not in front of that screen. So I'm sure, like me, you are elated to be here in person. Once again, welcome to this keynote talk on Microsoft Entra. My name is Rohit Gulati. I'm a principal product manager in the Microsoft Entra team. I'm here to talk about the latest that we have built in the Entra suite of products. Our theme today is secure access for a connected world. I have a set of slides, but I usually like the session to be interactive. So if you have questions, please raise your hand, and we'll take your questions on priority. We also have deep dive workshops, so I'll call out the sections which will be covered in the deep dive. So we'll go with the flow. To start off, Microsoft Entra, I'm sure by now you know the new branding that we came up with this year. Microsoft Entra is about key 4 pillars, how we can make sure the access to apps from any source, any device can be secured. Can we make sure that we can secure and verify identity that is accessing that particular app? Can we offer or support the necessary access and implement the zero trust principles? And can we make the life of the user better? Can we simplify that experience? So these are the 4 vision statements, and you will see me using these themes across the deck. But let me start by sharing what we have been doing in this space and what are our key investment areas. So you saw a globe that I had on my slide deck, and I spoke about the 4 pillars. But for each of that vision statements, our team is focusing on 8 tracks. Can we manage and protect apps that could be on-prem or in cloud? Can we support customers in the identity lifecycle management journeys? Can we support the multi-cloud deployments? Multi-cloud is a reality. You will have your application landscape on other hyperscalers as well. So can we support entitlement management across the multi-cloud setup? Can we support breadth of identities, not just B2E, B2B, B2C, but even now the decentralized world? Can we support multi-tenant model in your setup or maybe in your collaboration with your partners? You may be exchanging applications and data. Some companies may go through M&As. So can we support environments that are multi-tenant? Obviously, our focus is also around zero trust security. So you see me talking about the product stack that we have developed to support that line item. Decentralized identity, which is how, as a platform, we can support privacy-preserving credentials. And lastly, reliability. At the keynote, you heard from Shane that 5 nines is not something that customers are looking for. The user experience is also important. But so how can we make sure we can not only offer 5 nines, but also ensure that the user experience is consistent, better, and as they access app and services, they get a reliable experience across the landscape. So let me now get to the details. I've been given 35 minutes to cover my talk, and you can see on the slide I've got 8 products. So I can't do justice to talk about 8 products in 35 minutes. So what I will do, I'll talk about the latest and greatest that we have, and I'll talk about some of our vision statements. I'm sure by now you know that we have gone through a rebranding. Azure Active Directory is a known product for many years. As a part of the rebranding model, it is now called as Entra ID. Identity governance is now a dedicated product stream for us. So you can see taking it out from Azure AD has also helped us invest more in making that product support a lot of features and scenarios. External ID covers B2B scenarios, your customer IAM scenarios, or B2C scenarios. So that's our existing identity and access management stack. But the new categories around decentralized, verified IDs, that product offering. The multi-cloud entitlement management, which is our Entra permissions management offering. workload identity, which is about how we can make sure we can secure non-human identities. And then a new category around network access, internet access and private access, which is Microsoft's security service edge offering. This is a new entrant in the Entra suite of products, and I'll talk about that. Some of you might have attended our July 11th event this year, so we had announced this product at that launch date. So starting with Entra ID. Entra ID, or formerly known as Azure Active Directory, is Microsoft's cloud mastered identity and access management solution. And as you have been hearing from us, and we have been talking about that identity is the control plane for an organization. What we have realized, I think it has gone beyond the organization boundary, and it also has to support some society models as well. So how can we make sure from the same platform we can help you build a trust fabric for the internet? And keeping the three pillars in mind, that the directory should be able to offer secure adaptive access, so that I should be able to make sure that the right user has right access to the right resource. Can I ensure that the user experience is better and seamless? They are accessing an app, so they don't care whether the application is sitting on premises or on Azure or any other private or public cloud. And can I make sure I can have unified identity management? Your users are accessing applications. They don't need to maintain and know multiple username and passwords. So how can we make sure that the experience is unified for them? So these are the three pillars, and we have been focusing on this track for years now. What I'm going to share now are some of the highlights of the features that were just released out of the press from last month, starting with token protection. Token protection, or a feature called token binding, is an industry term. But how can I make sure that the token theft scenarios can be avoided? So when a user is issued an identity token from a directory, can I also make sure there is a device trust established? And if you see the screen covers a snapshot from a conditional access blade. I'm sure by now all of you know about conditional access policies and have deployed conditional access policies in your network. But in that conditional access policy framework, there's a new setting which says that required protection for sign-in sessions. What it means is that when I issued a token to a user, like Rohit was issued a token to access a particular app, there was a target device that was identified for Rohit. This is Rohit's primary device. So can I use that client secret or cryptographic token to ensure that Rohit only accesses this particular device where there is this cryptographic token? So that's a new capability. This is hot off the press. You will see us also talking about at Ignite. This capability is in public preview. So if you are not using this feature, you can get the most out of it. The next thing I'll talk about is MAM for Windows using conditional access. What it means is we know that BYOD is a thing. I bring in my own device to access apps, but I really don't want to enroll my device in an MDM or a device management solution. How can I make sure that I can secure access for apps on that BYOD device and still ensure that the DLP controls can be applied? MAM for Windows using CA is that capability. That feature is also now in public preview. Another important thing, just a show of hands, how many of you know about identity protection feature from Entra ID? I see a few hands. Okay, so thank you. ID protection or Entra ID protection is a capability that allows you to secure your identity landscape and avoid any risky user signing into your environment. So it can alert, flag your admin, and you can take remedial actions basis that. This feature has been available with Entra ID or Azure AD for some time now. So you can look at risky users, look at their sign-in traffic, look at patterns like impossible time of travel, that I am sitting in London, then how I'm logging from another device that is dialing from the US. So look at those kind of patterns and alert the admin, and then enforce conditional access policies. We have been receiving feedback from customers like, can I get a centralized console dashboard where not only I can see what is happening in my landscape, but I can also get some AI machine learning driven recommendations so that I can just say click and remediate. So this new dashboard capability just came out where it gives you a comprehensive snapshot of your identity landscape. And you can not only look at it, but also take remedial actions from the recommendations that are available on the dashboard. So that was a very high level on some of the new features on Entra ID. I'll move on, and I'll speak about identity governance. So when I started my talk, I said Entra ID or Azure AD is cloud mastered identity and access management solution. What analysts have been talking about to us and to customers, that they feel that by 2024, more than 50% of the customers will start using cloud-governed governance solutions. So Entra ID governance is one such solution where it can ensure that the right user has right access to resources at right time. In a simple sense, what does it really mean? You look at the whole life cycle of the user. Can I make sure that when I onboard the user, I would follow the standard practices so that the onboarding journey is better? When I am onboarding the user, I can ensure that the user has right access to apps. If there is a specific request that the user needs to go through, I can enable the user to do self-service, and that can be audited, go through an approval trail, and bring in some automation around that. And then I can do access certification, recertification to reduce the risk, like there's no stand-in access to a particular app. If the user needs a privileged access to an application, the user can go through a just-in-time provisioning model. And then I can make sure that as the user moves or leaves, I can clean up that environment. I'm sure this is not new to you, and you've been following these patterns, but this becomes a baseline for us. We have been supporting features like access reviews, entitlement management in our identity governance stack, privilege identity management as well. But what we are building new, and I think this is something you might have heard about it, or this is something that you may want in your setup. So when we look at a customer landscape, it is just not that you're looking at provisioning your full-time employees. You may have contractors, vendors, you may have HR applications that are just like cloud-born applications. You may have contractors, vendors getting provisioned in your directory, maybe using a flat file or a CSV file or a SQL directory. Can we make sure that we bring in all such data sources, because you may have multiple sources of authorizations, allow the admin to transform that data, allow the admin to make sure that the directory is properly structured, and then do the attribute mapping so that once the user is in the directory, you can follow that end-to-end life cycle. So we have this feature called as Inbound Provisioning API that is now a public preview. And it supports all such patterns. It can do CSV bulk upload, SQL connections. We are working with a lot of HR ISVs who are using this SCIM-based endpoint to create their own connectors. Partners like Cocho can also support you in that journey on building connectors. So it can follow any such pattern, because all it is doing is using SCIM-based provisioning, which is a standard available in the identity space. Another thing I would like to call out, you may still have applications on premises. Those applications may still need accounts to be created on premises. How do you make sure that the account that was created in the cloud directory is provisioned downstream as well? So for that, we have been using and calling this feature called as ECMA host agent. Some of you might be using MIM or ECMA connectors in your setup. So using the same principle without the MIM server, the governance translation rules from the Entra ID or Azure AD Blade? Can I use just the agent and do the downstream provisioning to applications that could be running on Oracle, SQL, LDAP, or just the .NET-based model, and provision applications downstream? So if you're using MIM connectors, you can even repurpose those connectors to come to this new model with on-premise application provisioning. Another important thing I'd like to call out, we've been getting feedbacks for years like, can Microsoft support an end-to-end lifecycle workflow journey for a pre-hire, new hire, mover, and then leaver? So can we do this on a task-based driven model? Can we make sure that there are templates available that can help admin automate a lot of tasks? So lifecycle workflows, this capability is now generally available. You can use that as a part of your pre-hire, new hire, joiner, mover, leaver scenarios. You can also build your own task. It also has a model which says custom extension. So if there is a complex workflow that needs to provision accounts into multiple such apps, it can follow that custom extension model as well. Another work that we are doing is bringing in AI and machine learning into the governance space. So when you do access reviews and recertification, it is just not about admin knowing what they need to clean up, but can the system give you some meaningful data? So as a business user, you can take meaningful actions. Like, can I look at what is the affiliation, the group affiliation of the user? So let's say I'm in the finance department, but in terms of the hierarchy, I'm very low in the hierarchy, and this particular group is accessing a financial critical app. So can I give that signal to the approver? The other thing I could say is, I gave an access to Rohit on this particular app, but he has not logged in to this particular app in the last 90 days. So does he really need that particular access? So the idea is to give these kind of meaningful data to the approver and the business user so that they can perform the cleanup action. And this can be also automated as a part of the review certification. I'll call out another new feature that went GA in July. Verified ID integration with access packages. There's a section I have on verified ID, but think about a model where when I am provisioning an access for a user, today I look at, are you the right user based on your authentication in a directory? But if I need to know that this particular application is a data science application, did you complete your data science training? Are you a UK resident? Are you supposed to access this particular app based on any of your training credentials? So this kind of information will not send it in the directory. So verified ID brings in that model where you can bring in these external attestations along with the directory and make a meaningful action. As a user, all I am doing is scanning a QR code, presenting my attestation, and you can see it's like a digital card. When I submit, the system takes an action. The last slide, on the governance pillar, we've also been getting feedback on building action-labeled dashboards. So it's just not like a visual representation, but the AI ML feeds should show up for the admins. They should get links to do remedial actions, and they can do slice and dice of data. So we have the new dashboard live now. So in a summary, if you look at the governance now product stream, it has got the core pillars around access reviews, entitlement management, and privilege identity management. And then it has the supporting functions like making sure that data is visible to the admin, making sure that the system can support attestations that are just not in the directory, but you can bring in attestations from external world as well. The system should support machine learning driven access reviews, and you can do these lifecycle workflows for joiner, mover, leaver. That's the governance stack. I just spoke about some of the highlights and the new stuff in it. External ID. I'm running very fast, but you have these deep dive workshops, so please make the best of it. And obviously, you can connect with me during the breaks. External ID is our offering where we support scenarios that are just not B2B, but also B2C. And what we have realized that when we look at the B2B offering today, which is the business-to-business offering, it has been running on the Azure AD or Entra ID stack for years, you are able to do that integrated access management experience by provisioning guest in your directory. And then for your customer IAM journeys, you've been using the B2C directory and then adding those custom flows, custom sign-in flows, different landing experiences, and so on. So the external identity offering is like a convergence of the two worlds, bringing best of both worlds, bringing in an option where you can use the security controls that are coming from Entra ID, also make the best of the customization option that is available from the B2C world, and all running on open standards, right? So some of the highlights that you will see from this external identity offering, we're trying to make this experience simple for the admins, simple for the developers, making sure that the applications that you have are enriched with data. Just if you look at this snapshot and look at our experience here, I'm talking about a feature called as custom authentication extension, or a capability. If you go back to the industry term, it is called token augmentation. The user went to an application is asking the user to authenticate, but application also wants to know, hey, what is your project ID? Hey, can you give me this extra information that is sitting in the LDAP store? Today, you may do some branch out processes like making a REST API call. Can't I grab everything and give you in one identity token? That's the capability. This is available today for you to use. And you can see you can bring this information using Azure Functions, Logic Apps, or your own REST API. But it gives you a consistent model as an admin to build such kind of apps. Another highlight, the thing that we are focusing on is to make sure we can offer customers a simple and user-friendly journeys for their apps. These apps could be running on-premises, cloud. These apps could be internal-facing or external-facing. So you can build customizations and have different landing experience for sign-in, sign-up journeys. Another thing that we are working on is, and this is in public preview, when you use such external identity offerings, I spoke about that you will pull in data or grab data from multiple sources. So as an admin, you may be using API connectors. You may be embedding apps in iframes. So can we make sure that like principles like certificate-based security or offering B2C style authentication in iframes, can we offer a simplified developer model where you can bring these kind of experiences to the end user? And even when you build your mobile apps, can we support native authentication using Microsoft authentication libraries? So that's where we are heading to. The features that I'm talking about are in public preview. We have a deep dive session later today, and Marcus would cover that as a part of the workshop. The last slide on the section, the dashboard theme, and you'll see me talking about dashboards again and again in the product stack. Our learning has been that we need to present that data to admin early. So can we make sure not only you can run scripts to see at your guest landscape, but can we give you a visual information? And it is just not a static information. You can drive meaningful data out of it. So guest governance dashboard is live for customers now. You can look at multiple parameters like your landscape of guest users, inactivity, and so on. Now I'm going to talk about Verified ID, and I'm very passionate about this product. What Verified ID offers is a privacy-preserving model. What it means is when I, as a user, I am sharing my credentials with an application, I need to know what I am sharing, with whom I am sharing, and I should have the ability to revoke. So that is one of the fundamental principles of privacy-preserving credential. The other principle is portability, choice, and control. Like today, I'm using an iOS device that is helping me authenticate to an app. But if I move to Android, or if I move to a different organization, I should be allowed to carry my credential. if I'm using a Waitrose loyalty membership card, it has my information, it has my name, it has my address, I should be allowed to use it in Sainsbury. Can you imagine that kind of a world? If you look at the scenarios that we go through in our personal life today, it's like when we are doing a mortgage application with the bank would ask us, can you send me this information? Can you send me your employer letter? And as a user, you'll end up doing all this kind of handshake with your agent. Why can't I just present that credential, which is a verified credential from my employer that says that, yeah, I work at Microsoft. I've been working with Microsoft for 16 years. This is my title. And yeah, I have this credit score. So instead of going through this to and fro dance, can I make the life of the user simple? So that's the service that we have. It's a managed implementation of an open standard called verifiable credential. And if you see the screen, it is talking about a familiar app. All of us use it today for MFA in professional as well as in our personal lives. So using the same application, can I bring in this kind of a digital card experience where I get to see I have a credential, I can have multiple such credentials, I can transparently see where I had used this credential, and I have the ability to get my own audit receipt. And it can then support these principles of portability, choice, and control. So to realize this model, the platform that we have built allows you to not only become an issuer, but also a verifier of that credential. And as a user, we have this application called Authenticator. We started with Authenticator because Authenticator has got billions and billions of users today. But it doesn't mean that you have to use Authenticator. The wallet library is open sourced. So if you use a mobile application in your internal landscape, like a Waitrose app or a Sainsbury app, this whole experience can be embedded into that experience journey. And you can see multiple scenarios. I just have one slide. We have a deep dive from Marcus later today. I'm not going to go through all these patterns, but you can use many such scenarios which are a gap today. Like when I leave the organization, why should I be carrying this paper credential with me? Why shouldn't I get a digital credential that I can just use anytime I want? Right? So that's the whole premise. I spoke about wallet library. So you can use both Android and iOS SDK, embed that experience in your wallet app. And the library that we have also has a sample wallet. So I'm sure you like Authenticator app, right? Yeah, but if you don't, or if you want to, I got a feedback from a customer saying, the Microsoft logo has less importance than my company's logo. So I would prefer building that logo, totally. So whatever makes sense for your user, please go with it. I just started saying that Authenticator has billions of users, so portability, choice, control. Start with Authenticator, let the user accept that credential in any wallet. So I'll cover the last theme. I see that I have only a few minutes, so I'm going to very quickly go through this section. Under the network access theme, we have got two new products called Internet Access and Private Access. What it means is, can I make sure that the user who is coming to access my app from anywhere, from any device, is also coming from a compliant network location? And that's the important part. Okay? Security Service Edge is an industry term. Microsoft is just a new entrant into that space. These two products, Internet Access and Private Access, are meant to support such app scenarios. So, and ensuring that zero trust principles can be honored. We have a deep dive later in the day. Dave will cover details about it, but I'll do a quick summary. Internet Access and Private Access, as I said, are two products. Internet Access offers a secure web gateway capability for your internet SaaS apps. That could be Microsoft 365 apps or Salesforce, any SaaS app, while Private Access is a model to offer secure controls for your apps that you are running on-premises, private cloud, or infrastructure as a service, PaaS service on any of the hyperscalers, and ensuring that zero trust network access principles are honored. I'll just go one level down and then we'll try to wrap up. Internet Access, as I said, is for SaaS apps. So Microsoft 365 apps and any SaaS app. The idea here is a lot of us, when we do Microsoft 365 apps, because of performance concern, we do not want the user traffic to go to a third-party SSE service and then come back. So it becomes like a hairpin thing, and we don't do those kind of network security controls. With the SSE offering from Microsoft, since it is sitting in the same edge point as the Microsoft 365 Edge, we are building on this vision that we can offer at least 25 millisecond latency for the user connectivity. So you may be dialing from Fiji Island. We need to make sure you at least get a 25 millisecond of response time for the service. So that's the vision that we are working towards. And then the same principle lies for the SaaS app portfolio. Private access, as I said, is for your apps that you run on premises or on private clouds or IaaS PaaS platforms. Today we use VPN today, but when you give a user a VPN access, you're opening the whole network segment. Can I just not control per app access? Or why even per app? Can I just not give per process access to a particular model? So private access supports that scenario, both for TCP apps and UDP apps. A lot of us go through this trouble of accessing clients' apps like SAP on a VPN, and we get these performance challenges, or accessing printer spooler services. So many such patterns exist today. The idea here is to, can we enhance the user experience, keeping zero trust security in mind? I gave a primer to it, but the most important message I would like to leave with on this slide is, if you look at the network landscape that exists today, Microsoft is the #2 network provider, and you'll be surprised, even I was surprised, that we are the #2 network provider when it comes to the physical cables. So can we not offer the same power to the customer? So you get to connect to the nearest edge point, and you get the best-in-class experience, a reliable experience. I spoke about the latency response time. If you are using an SSE offering today from a third party, you can still run it if you would like to, but Microsoft's SSE is the best SSE offering for the Microsoft 365 apps. And we can definitely double-click on it during the workshop as we get to the details. Just the last slide on this section. We announced this product category on July 11th this year. So the two product pillars, internet access and private access. Private web apps, or the HTTP web apps, is what we call as Azure AD application proxy. That is already generally available. Some of you may be using it today for publishing HTTP apps. All private apps would cover other TCP, UDP scenarios like non-HTTP. That is in public preview. And Ignite is coming shortly, so you'll see us announcing some more features. On internet access apps, Microsoft 365 apps is available today for you. So if you're using E3, E5, you can start using it today. All internet apps is running in private preview. So just wait for Ignite, and you'll hear more about that particular offering. So with that, I'll just wrap up. You've been using Azure portals in the past. Entra Admin Center is your one-stop shop where you can access all these 8 products in the Entra portfolio. And there are a bunch of resources I'll leave you with.